at just over half a mile, where they've raced since 1947. More history here than you can count. And some of it's going to have to come into play because at least one team who traditionally has been very, very good here needs to step up, and this is the place. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer with you once again. And this is a test. We're at a short track. It's the next to last race in the chase. So this Sunday is going to be totally important for anybody who hopes to win this championship.
Yeah, and I think like you said, it's a really important race for Hendrick Motorsports to be able to try to put themselves back in a position with how dominant they have been at this racetrack for the most part of as long as we've raced. And I think it's an important racetrack to understand that. We've got more horsepower here again, so a little bit of a change on that side of things. So a lot of stories to be told during this practice session.
Well, if they're trying to get back up on the horse, so to speak, like you're saying, who are they trying to knock off? That is, these Toyotas are on fire. All season long, they've started off like gangbusters and haven't slowed down any. I think they're going to be good again this weekend. Fast cars go fast, Kevin. We always talk about that. But make no mistake about it, Rick Hendrick and company own this racetrack. They have won here more than anybody. But I think that the Toyotas can keep an eye on them and keep them honest here. But the other one that I'm got my eye on is Ryan Blaney for sure.
All right, that'll give you something to look at as we roll into the first part of practice. Hendrick Motorsports wins. Is where Hendrick won their very first race with Jeff Bodine. It's where Jeff Gordon got his final Cup Series victory, and a whole lot of history in between.
And it's not a disaster by any means from a point standpoint. It's just the expectation of Hendrick Motorsports are so high, and what makes it harder, Clint, being in this first practice group, because
right.
In that typically doesn't put you in a good position from a qualifying perspective where you go out.
Case in point, why is he in this practice group? Because things aren't going very good for Kyle Larson in 5 car. If you're in the first group of practice, last week wasn't so good for you. We all know you want to be in that second group. The track cleans up, the rubber gets put down. A lot of things are learned in this first one for these organizations that they put forth for the second one. Kyle Larson's a guinea pig for Hendrick Motorsports this time around. Jamie?
Well, William Byron has found his way around this place 3 times. He drove to victory, including in the fall when you just whooped up on this field, 1 from the pole. So this time around, William, things are a little bit different, that short track package. So what kind of questions are you looking for to be answered in your practice session?
Yeah, I think just trying to figure out if anything's different really with the higher horsepower. Our balance should be really similar here to last fall, so not really concerned about that. If we have a certain balance in practice, we're going to try to kind of stick to that. So hopefully the balance is similar to what we expect, and we can just kind of go from there.
When you're standing here and you have that headset on, who and what are you listening for before you get in your car?
Yeah, I mean, it's helpful to have Kyle in Group A. Obviously, hey, that they're in that group because of last week, but it helps us with the notes. So really trying to watch him in this practice and kind of understand what he's fighting. And the track looks really white right now, so just trying to get some rubber down.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Let's go over to Larry Mack.
Well, Jamie, these teams get so little bit of practice. You want to be out there anytime the track is open. Clint Boyer touched on it. You have to be careful at the beginning because there's no rubber on those concrete corners right now. It'll give you a false reason. It's the reason that Joey Logano, Paul Wolf, and the 22 car who's in this first group, they've elected to wait about 5 minutes to maybe those concrete corners start taking rubber. But as fast as lap times are here, you get out there, you can maybe make about a 60-lap run, which is important. That's about up about 25 to 30 laps into a run.
Well, I think the reason that Joey Logano is waiting is exactly what Larry is saying. They want to get it right for that long run. They want to be able to get the car so that it's in the best conditions possible with the rubber on the racetrack. And in this first session, you're putting the rubber down. So they waited a little bit trying to guess right. Hard to compare yourself against anybody else when you wait, though.
So what are heavy hitters like Joey Logano and Kyle Larson doing in Group 1? Well, it's because of NASCAR's metric, the performance metric that determines the order of qualifying and which group you're in. 70% is the previous race finish. So yes, one bad finish can spoil your season. You can end up here in Group 1. 30% is the current owner points position. And of course, early in the season, those positions move around race to race a lot more than they will in the second half. So Joey Logano, Kyle Larson had a bad week last week. They're in Group 1 this week.
Kevin, watching some of these guys I was watching Austin Hill, as a matter of fact, and braking. We're talking about horsepower and things like that all across the board for anybody out here right now, especially in this first group, trying to figure this. It's the same track, but the game's changed a little bit with the horsepower.
Yeah, and you know this track. You were way better here than I was, and I think that the hard characteristics of this racetrack are: how far do I drive it in the corner? How fast do I roll through the corner? Do I need to push my corner around to try to get that drive up off the corner so I have less distance? But the two ends are different. Turn 2, the exit of turn 2 to me was always easier than the exit of turn 4. And turn 4, the reason that is it seems like the car, especially these Gen 7 cars, they want to start hopping when they want to slide at the 3/4 mark, and then when they slide, they start to hop. So definitely some characteristics differences from turn 2 to turn 4.
Josh Berry, you saw him just jump up to 4th on the board. Now, unlike last week at Darlington, lap 1 and lap 2 are not going to be your fastest laps. You work up to it. Right now, fastest laps drivers range from their 4th lap on track to their 11th.
Fluid stop,
Gregson,
right
left front wheel lock up. Easy to do here. And that goes right into what I was asking you about with brakes. Trying to find your rhythm, your mark, so to speak, at this racetrack, how far you can get in the corner. Too far for Noah. That was a big lockup.
And once they lock up here, it takes forever to get it to quit locking up. So you see Josh Berry, you're going to see that curb on the inside of the racetrack right there, he and Kyle Busch. Some different ideas of what you should do or shouldn't do with wrapping that curb. Do you diamond the corner? I think some of it depends on how your car is handling. I think some of it depends on what is happening with the race car. So we're going to see that lockup right here with Noah. And a lot of times that happens when you go over the concrete right here. It'll just start to lock up. Because that concrete just has a little bit of a rise in it, so it has a little bump right there. So you're heavy braking, and it doesn't take much for that left front tire to get locked up like that.
Concrete in the corners, asphalt down the straightaways. A half mile of mayhem. That's what
That's how much rain was falling yesterday evening. Track trying team did yeoman's work. Obviously, you wake up, beautiful, brilliant Virginia sunshine, but there is a nip in the air here today.
Indeed, there's a lot of it in the air today. Now, let's also give props to the operations crew here at the Martinsville Speedway and with NASCAR. We were to have run the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour Virginia is for Racing Lovers 200 last night. That, unfortunately, has been postponed until tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You'll hear that on the Motor Racing Network. So what we had were NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars and Wheel and Modified Tour cars in the infield, plus the Modified Tour haulers. Well, that postponement forced everybody to basically go to plans B, C, and D. They had to pull the modified haulers out. They brought the Cup haulers in, and they are in the infield in front of us. But they left the tour cars behind pit wall on the turn 1 end behind the pit lane, while at the same time putting O'Reilly Auto Parts cars on the pit lane, Cup cars in their garage stalls. We basically were moving a lot of equipment around this property last night in the rain and in the cold of the night.
Like a Rubik's Cube is essentially what's going on. I mean, you got to move this group over here to get this one over here. And all the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour haulers now are parked nose to tailgate out on the main road coming down the hill. If you've ever been to Martinsville Speedway, you know what I'm about to say. If you've never been here, look at it like this. Come up off of US 220, Highway 220. You got to cut through some houses. Not necessarily a neighborhood, but there's just houses on the hillside. Drive down the hill, and there is the half-mile paperclip track of Martinsville Speedway. And all those NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour haulers are lined up on that main road down there. It is quite...
And here's Bubba Wallace, who's on the top of the board. Well, let's take a ride.
On tires, pace is really good.
Couple things I see, still shift getting into the corner. I'm listening. He's being able
Good pace here. Work on your maneuverability. Also work with your brake bias.
So what I see, he's able to put the throttle down pretty hard. Maneuverability, all right. He let the car roll up right there in the middle of the corner. It's going to diamond back up.
Yeah, the couple things that I noticed is how quick this shift is up off the corner. See how quick that is, Clint. So as those tires start to spin and wear out, will they continue to keep shifting right there? Because that is a really short shift. Other thing that I notice about him is how low his entries were compared to that 51 car in front of him, which is what you want. If you're a good car, you'll be able to do exactly what he did right there, almost exit underneath the rubber right there, kind of diamond it in the center, but be able to get that car pointed and straight and low up off the corner. Same thing on that end. See how low he is up off the corner. That's what I always felt like the good cars did really well.
Yeah, you have to. It's the 5/8 mark. It's right there. See how he pulled on that wheel one last time and got the car straight and went to the throttle? If it doesn't answer the call right there, you need work. You're going to have a long day. It's as simple as that. See how he kind of goes wheel lock, and as soon as he gets that car straight, the left rear is down and it's digging. He can go wide open with the gas. When you come off the corner and you have wheel in it, it starts to upset the platform, lifts that left rear up a little bit, and that's what snaps the car loose on the exit. I always wanted to make sure I didn't have any wheel in at that 5/8 mark, have both them rear tires on the ground, and they dig.
Yeah, and to your point, you can see him open the wheel up at that 5/8 3/4 mark. You watch his hands open up right here, and that's what loads that right rear tire. And he's able to keep it low. So. Yeah. A lot of good things happening with that 23
Seems
car
like
right now.
What do we say? Fast cars go fast?
Yep. Slow ones don't go fast.
That one's fast.
8,800 RPM at the end of the straightaway. Now, Connor Zilich has run 35 laps. Third on the board right now.
And my gosh, that's got to feel good, Mike.
Yep.
There's a lot of confidence in this young driver. He has to learn. There's a lot of experience to be gained. And you take a road course racer to a track like Martinsville, for me, it doesn't surprise me that he fits the bill. Fits into a road courser's background. You have to brake on the straightaways, let the car roll, be disciplined behind the car. Those are things that it takes to be a good road racer.
And to your point, I would argue that last year was probably SVG's best track was Martinsville, and falls right into that road racing category as well. So good point.
He's been beat up a little bit early. I mean, the schedule that we have now, it really throws a little bit of everything at you in those first 5 or 6 races. And, you know, when you're a young driver trying to learn your crew and your car, a new car with this Cup car, Gen 7 car for him, there's a lot of things to be learned and overcome there in a short amount of time. So it's got to feel good to get back here and build some confidence with a fast race car, and the lap times prove it.
Interesting that every organization has at least one car in Group 1, I believe. That's usually not the case.
Well, that is a good thing to have if you're in that organization, but it's not a good thing if you're the guinea pig in that organization.
If you're the guy in this group, it's not good.
Now, the exception is Joe Gibbs Racing. They don't have a car in Group 1. They're going to have to lean on 2311.
Well, we've seen why. And by the way, the only reason you have a 2311 car in there is bad luck last week.
Right.
They got wiped out on that pit road incident with Bubba Wallace. There he is.
10 minutes left.
RCR with 3 cars entered here again this week, adding the 33 for Austin Hill.
Always on top of that box, always on top, watching those lap times, watching his drivers.
And you see the difference in Austin Dillon's car right here compared to what Bubba Wallace was doing. He's got a little less diamond. He's a little higher on the exit of the corners. Bubba carrying that car into the corner. Austin staying a little bit lower, but doesn't get him as low. And like you pointed out earlier, when you're not exiting straight and low like that 23 car was, as you see him go up the hill a little bit more, it just stays on that right rear tire, and we know that a little bit more horsepower is going to be harder on those rear tires than what they have in the past. I know it's only 70 or 80 horsepower, but it's going to be harder on those tires.
Without a doubt. Another track it's a good track for Austin, and they need to turn around at RCR. Here's his teammate.
The RCR cars 10th, 12th, and 17th. They're all in Group 1, and double checking that list, Spire does not have a car in Group 1. All of their cars are in Group 2.
Well, they've been lights out too. I mean, what a wonderful start they're off to. Daniel Suarez moving over there, and everybody was questioning and wondering what was going to happen to that car. Boy, it's proven to be a good matchup so far. Larry, what do you got?
Yeah, guys, you were talking about teams that don't have anyone in this Group 1, teams that do. You mentioned Spire, Joe Gibbs Racing. No teammates in this first group, but there's still a lot of chatter on those radios with the drivers that'll be in Group 2 about who is wrapping the curb, who is diming the racetrack. A lot of information being fed to these drivers and teams about who's doing what in this first group.
Well, to no surprise, Larry, the top 4 in the best consecutive lap groups are Larson, Wallace, Berry, Logano, or some combination thereof. 7 driver championship represented in Group 1.
Of a corner exit that you kind of go down the hill a little bit on what little banking there is here at Martinsville. So Freddie Kraft offering some suggestions for Bubba, but been very happy with the run of this race car. And it's been a progression for Bubba here in the Cup Series at Martinsville. All 4 of his top 10s coming in the last 6 races here. So more and more comfortability is Bubba Wallace with Martinsville in this setup. Of course, the different horsepower may throw some teams a curveball, but this 2311 group, you talk about momentum, what Tyler Reddick's done, it's fed right into this 23 bunch with Bubba Wallace. They continue to really have a good start to the season, and they like the package they had coming here to Martinsville. So certainly it shows on the speed chart on the long run, but Bubba's still working on the wheel, but nothing on the radio as far as any complaints with that Toyota.
Won twice here in a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event, twice for Bubba Wallace. He's run well here in a Cup car, finished top 3 here in this race 1 year ago. So no surprise whatsoever to see Bubba Wallace having success here at Martinsville.
And he's got a career milestone coming up. When we go to the Kansas Speedway in a few weeks, he'll be having his 300th career NASCAR Cup Series start. And Bubba obviously establishing some longevity in the Cup Series. He has won last year, took home the hardware in the Brickyard 400 for 2311 Racing, their only win in 2025. Of course, we speak of 2311 Racing. What a new world this is in 2026, fueled in large part by the successes of Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, you're right about that. A lot of people, we talked to race fans, Mike, throughout this year since the season started, and are thinking, what in the world? How has this team turned the corner so quickly from not winning but 1 race a year ago? Tyler Reddick didn't win it all last year. Well, let's factor in some things. Two years ago, Tyler Reddick won multiple races. Last year, Tyler Reddick had a lot going on off the racetrack. With the birth of his newest child, spent a lot of time in the hospital, his son did, trying to get well from a kidney problem. Fortunately, the good news is he has healed up from that. But when you have issues like that off the racetrack and family issues like that, with a newborn, you can't help but to have your mind on different things.
It was Clint Boyer for Stuart Haas. Hey, Kyle Larson, he is in Group 1 because of his bad finish last week due to the toe link issue. Now, here we go. There's that number 14.
Well, that's a long time ago.
I was going to say, that feels like forever ago.
That was forever ago. It snowed. It was a weird weekend. It's fun racetrack.
Yep.
Always, you know, it's just that backyard, small country feel up here when you drive up here. 2-lane road going up through. So many memories of the springtime here. Fall's beautiful at this racetrack. There's not a bad seat in the house. Everything's flat. Cool place. And the trophy's cool.
Gotta have a clock.
Well, if you're going to have an old school track, you better have an old school trophy. Got to have a clock.
Riley Herbst getting loose here.
Okay.
It's kind of the same spot right there when that car goes over the concrete patch and then lands.
So, challenges of this racetrack, especially when you start talking about rear grip issues. Rolling into the corner, as soon as you put some input into the wheel and that thing wants to come out from underneath of it, we call that laterally loose. That means the rear end wants to skate out from underneath of it on these flat racetracks like that. There's also forward bite issues when you leave the corner. And you can kind of tackle those two things differently, but the problem is you tighten that thing up to get me into the corner. Now it won't turn in the center. Now, when we were riding along earlier with Bubba Wallace and he was letting go of that wheel, he had the car would kind of answer the call, so to speak. If you're tight in the middle, it doesn't do that. Now it rolls around the corner. You're trying to drag brake to keep the front end down. The whole thing's a mess. Balance, balance, balance. I think this is a track where, Kevin, you know, when we talk about balance, it's easy to just get caught up in loose or tight. And not necessarily the case here. I think you can lose rear grip here and still be tight. I think you have to be careful of you know, tightening this car up, and you're still going to lose rear grip because now you got wheeling it on exit, and it push, snap loose, and spins the tires on the exit.
Yeah, and you saw Larson right there rub the wall down the back straightaway. Larry?
Yeah, Kevin, we still have 3 minutes to go. And remember, at the top of the show, I talked about you could run at least 60 laps if you ran the entire practice. Kyle Larson has run 63 laps. His last lap was about a 20:61. Cliff Daniels, his crew chief, told him about 10 laps ago, I like what I'm seeing here. I'm good if you are. But if you want to keep running, and that's exactly what Kyle Larson is doing.
See that right there, Clint? Mike, he's not shifting. And that's what I was talking about earlier, was that shift is so close to the exit of the corner. Once the tires wear out, it might just be better to keep the wheels from spinning and easier to put the throttle down and just not shift gears.
Well, it's definitely easier on the rear tires. We know that. When you know, reach down there and grip and rip, so to speak, in a lower gear, that thing really wants to come out from underneath of you hard on the rear tires. You want to save them a little bit, leave that thing in fourth gear and just kind of baby it up off the corner.
And from best consecutive 15, 20, and 30, that 5 car is at the top of that list. So, yeah, I thought I saw him scrape the wall down the back straightaway right here.
Oh, right in the middle of the straightaway.
And it's just one of those places where you run right against the wall and you almost become, I don't want to use the word lazy, but I'm going to. You become lazy of just because you're used to just being so close to it, and you can hear the sound. I couldn't see very well, so I would hear the sound.
It is so
off
true.
The wall.
Yeah.
And you become so accustomed to what that sounds like, and then all of a sudden you get a little too close and you hear the pipe seal off, and you're like, uh-oh.
When you hear them pipes change pitch, you're like, uh-oh, book. I didn't mean that. Sorry, guys.
You know, Bubba Wallace ran down the 5 without any difficulty.
Wrap these few, wrap them.
He definitely did. Now he does have a little less laps on his tires. 5 car gave up there.
The way Bubba Wallace's car looks, though, I love the exit. I just like the fact that he can exit below that rubber and get back to that exit curb on both ends.
Well, it's definitely doing everything right, and he was moving around. You saw him moving, make some passes, let the car diamond. But I agree, the exit of the corner and him being able to do that and still shift gears and keep the rear grip in the car is pretty sporty.
This one right here is doing the same thing. You saw how low that the 22 was on exit, and that's what's made him so good here.
Well, if you're going to say this one right here needs a good weekend. We need something out of Martinsville with the 22 car. 3 laps down, raced 3 laps down last week.
Time has expired, so the flags are out. Joey Logano's on a 13-race top 10 streak here and has good speed here late in the run. Group 1 is done. Group 2 getting ready to
At the moment by Todd Gilliland.
Watching Connor Zilic on the racetrack, he has just turned in his 70th lap, and it will be the final lap of practice for him as the black and red flags are flying, indicating Group 1 practice is over. Group 2 cars are queued up. Drivers about to climb aboard those vehicles and begin their 25 minutes of practice for the Cookout 400. From Martinsville Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options now available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe $10, $20, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-375-3232. 800-375-3232. That's 800-375-3232. National Debt Relief, the official debt relief partner of NASCAR.
NASCAR Cup Series practice and qualifying coverage on MRN is presented by E3 Spark Plugs. Stuck in slow motion? Unleash the NASCAR fire inside your engine with E3 Spark Plugs. Forget pit stops. E3 gives you maximum fuel efficiency for more miles on the road and less time at the pump. E3 Spark Plugs, power, speed, domination. Get yours today.
Group 1 practice has wrapped up. It'll be a moment before we send the rest of the cars out, the Group 2 cars out. While we have that opportunity, let's check in with Steve Post on the pit lane.
We've just been watching along. You guys mentioned on short run speed, Josh Berry was good, and I think they were pretty happy with the long run speed. What Josh was worried about is trying to get that car turned and rotated and up off the corner. That's like Martinsville 101. Looking at some things down here, Miles Stanley, the crew chief on this car, is looking at some of the shoulder wear on the right side tires of this car, or the left side tires, I'm sorry, and it looks like they've got just a little bit more concern on the shoulder of the left side tires on this car. So they're working on that with just some minor adjustments to make sure that they're not damaging. It's nothing significant. We're not seeing cords. We're not seeing anything. It just looks like there's a little bit more wear on the shoulder of the left side tires as far as Josh Berry's car goes. So he's really, really happy with the car in general, wishes it would drive up off the corner, and boy, this team needs a good race. They have struggled a little bit. Only one finish in the top 15 or top 20 in about the last 5 races. Coming to a place like Martinsville, this should be a good track for them. Home track for the Wood Brothers, but Josh Berry is so good here.
For sure. That was a good day back in the day. I convinced Boyer. Dirt World, midget sprint cars, Silver Crown cars, stuff like that, and we get to have lunch every Thursday, every once in a while at Moyer's Lakeside Eatery in Mooresville there. So we talk about chicken wings and we talk about race cars, and then we go on and do our thing. But just here with the modifieds, Glenn Steyer's modified, and we got postponed from yesterday to today, and we run off at 7:30 tonight on Flow. So we'll just try to have some fun, but our schedules overlap, like you said. So we're here and just spending a few times. A little bit of time to talk to Steve Bell, and then I don't know if between Eric and I don't know if we help him or hurt him, so we'll see.
Give him a little feedback. Do you miss it? Do you wish you could get behind the wheel again? Do you miss these cars?
I miss parts of it. I mean, I'm glad that they actually get back to practice now, because when we didn't get to practice, it was miserable. I really enjoyed working on the car, making the car faster, figuring out how to make a long run car, how to make a short run speed. Obviously, the qualifying on Fridays was one of my fortes, but a lot of it's changed, a lot of it's the same. It's cool to see the people.
It's good to see you out here. He's a racing dad. One of his daughters, 15 years old now, racing, Mike.
That's right, Brooklyn. Newman will start 14th tonight. I think it's Patrick Emmerling on the pole. Yes, it is. Justin Bonsignor trying to win for the second year in a row here. Rained out last night. 7:30 tonight. Come to the track and see, I think, the most exciting cars in NASCAR. Or you can watch it on Flow.
The storm came through.
This season's been incredible for your team, for 2311 as a whole. How do you keep that momentum up at our first real short track of the season?
Yeah, we'll find out. Hopefully we do.
just riding the wave. It's the confidence and just the way everything's going our way. Just hope that continues one more week before we head in the off week.
Appreciate your time. That's Billy Scott as the engines will fire here for group number 2. We mentioned Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace and Riley Herbst. The entire organization, you can tell there's an extra pep in their step when they show up to the racetrack here over the course of these first 6 races. And the same was here today. They all have smiles in. Bubba climbed out of his race car, still talking with his crew. He had a big smile on his face, and rightfully so. Things are certainly clicking with 2311. It's been fun to watch, and certainly they hope that a lot of that momentum, as you heard Billy Scott say, translates to continued performance here in the early part of the season.
We'll step away, grab a quick break, and we'll have Group 2 cars on the racetrack in just a moment. From Martinsville Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you. There's pride in self-reliance, in working with your hands, in harnessing the power of an E3 spark plug with Diamond Fire technology, yielding better engine performance. You have a choice to make. Take control of your ride, of your life, or be the passenger princess of it. Visit e3sparkplugs.com to put the power in your hands.
The NASCAR Cup Series season kicked off with the Dale and Dale Show at the Daytona 500.
Dale Jarrett's got the lead. He goes to the inside. Earnhardt's not going to get him. Dale Jarrett is going to win the Daytona 500 by SDP. Earnhardt second.
The 1993 NASCAR Cup Series season. All the highs and lows. Relive them all on MRN's exclusive podcast, The 1993 Season. Available on podcast platforms and MRN.com.
Connor Zillage. Connor, you raced here in the O'Reilly Series, but your first Cup start here, 70 laps in that practice. Sounds like a little debate about short run versus long run.
Yeah, definitely. We were, everything has its cost, so we definitely need to work on getting it better for the long run because the race is pretty long. So, our choice privileges car looks awesome. Bright orange will be easy to see, but, excited for the race tomorrow.
Well, we know this place is tough, Mike. The last time a Rookie of the Year finished in the top 10 here was Juan Pablo Montoya back in 2007.
Well, you're right, Larry. It's a track that favors the experienced. Big line at the hot dog stand, as usual.
Feeling it at the end of these runs, that's for sure. You were feeling it before, just even guys running partial throttle all the way down the straightaway with the changes between concrete. You feel like you can get to the gas and you get to the asphalt and it continues to spin the tires. So it's very challenging. It's just going to be more challenging with more horsepower.
More challenging, but he gets a smile on his face every time he talks about Martinsville. That is Todd Gilliland.
And Todd described something that the crew chiefs were talking their way through this week. When you say you can feel the speed and more speed on the straightaway, well, that means you got to apply more brake getting into the corner. When that happens, then the brakes become an issue. When the tires fade away, the tires become a bit more skittish coming into the corner. So you back up the braking point getting in. That sets up a passing opportunity, like old school Martinsville. With just the addition of 80 more horsepower and the current tire selection, you put all that together, we need one more thing to cooperate, and that's the temperature. The higher the temperature goes, we get back to that slipping and sliding and getting back to that wild card. That all will come to a head tomorrow in the Cookout 400.
You mentioned the gear change that we have here this weekend. There are some crew chiefs down in the garage earlier today saying, in the race itself, practice no, qualifying no, but in the race, there could be an opportunity for drivers to not shift gears on any given lap out there. If they need to save fuel, they can stay in a higher gear and still have relatively good pace. So that is something that will come into play.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Motor Racing Network.
Pursue your American dream at Camping World.
Unlike other
The NASCAR Cup Series is racing this weekend at the Martinsville Speedway. Day one of festivities underway with practice and pole qualifying for the Cookout 400. Mike Bagley alongside Alex Hayden topside. Steve Post and Chris Wilner are in the pits and in the garage area. We have just concluded Group 1 practice. Group 2 is queued up. And when Group 2 practice is done, everybody will get 2 laps of qualifying around this legendary half-mile Martinsville Speedway to set the starting lineup for the Cookout 400.
Is on one day, but I know it's over a dozen.
What the record is.
Nuclear red. Now, our graphics department had nothing to do with this, but obviously somebody in the production truck had a little time on their hands, and the Martinsville Speedway reminds somebody of one of those hot dogs.
Yeah, it's not a paper clip. It's
I thought you were going to draw on that, Clint.
No, I was hoping you'd talk over it, and I was going to keep drawing, but never mind. Let's get back to business here. Look at this, though. You can get a bag of 4. Are you a bag of 4 kind of guy or a bag of 6?
I've only had one in my whole life, and it was in this TV booth last year or the year before.
Oh, boy. Big Dev, one of our feature producers.
Yeah.
He's had over 20.
Well, let's start with how you refer to him, Big Dev.
Well,
Big Dev, ladies and gentlemen, is the size of 4 humans. He's 12 foot tall. He's a giant.
We used to have a tire guy. His name was Rob Lopes. And he still works in this garage.
Yeah.
And I've never seen one man eat more hot dogs than that man could eat.
So, okay, they're red inside, and I don't mean like pink. They are bright, nuclear-looking red.
Right.
Dayglow red.
Well, you know what else is in that same building? The outhouse. It's funny how
they better hurry up and get these cars going.
No, it's not. The hot dog stand is a standalone structure.
It's right over there.
Okay.
Actually, it's right there.
Straight there. Well,
meanwhile, back on the track, hi, Brad. Going for his 600th career start today.
Man, I thought last week was his week.
I did too.
So close.
Well, he definitely had control of the race while Reddick was trying to get back to the front. But, I mean, the fastest car won. But for Brad, we know the key. The key is he has to qualify in the front.
100%.
And he qualified in the front at Darlington, put himself in a position to take advantage of that 45 car not being there, scored a ton of stage points, led a bunch of laps. And he can do the same thing pretty much anywhere that we go. But if he doesn't qualify good, that just takes you all day to get to the front of the pack.
It was an RFK day. It wasn't just Brad. Both of his teammates, all 3 cars ran very, very strong.
Yeah, at one point they were 1, 2, 3 in the race. However, the only thing stopping them was this. Tyler Reddick. 4 out of the first 6. Okay, that's been done. Only, I think, 1 driver has done 5 out of the first 7, and his name's Earnhardt. You don't have to write it down, Jimmy. How could you forget that, right? Bill Elliott, Dale Earnhardt, 3 of the first 4.
Well, I interviewed Denny Hamlin after he won it at Las Vegas, and I asked him point blank. I said, Denny, can Tyler Reddick win the championship? He said, yes, absolutely, if he figures the short tracks out.
Yeah, Martinsville has not been kind to him. 12 starts here, no top 5 finishes.
And Denny's right. I mean, no matter how good you are on all the rest of those racetracks, yeah, it's going to put you in the game. But if you're vulnerable at these short tracks and have a day that's subpar, the guys that you're racing against for that championship most likely are not going to have many subpar days. So, you know, when you look at the short track stuff for Reddick, that definitely is a focus that they've been working on.
Well, while we've all been celebrating Tyler Reddick's great start to the season, don't go to sleep on Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin has 5 wins in 6 races this season. 1 as a driver, 4 as an owner. Wow.
You know what?
Yeah, he's pretty good here.
Oh, the best. He's the best. 6 wins. I've raced against him. You've raced against him. If Denny Hamlin's on this racetrack, you're going to have to go through him to win. I want to talk about waking up this morning in Winston-Salem. The sponsor on the side of his car, Bob's Discount Furniture. turn on the TV, and the first thing I see is Denny Hamlin is signing autographs in Winston-Salem. It was all over the weekend, and that's the power of momentum. We have a lot of momentum going on with NASCAR, and as soon as I turned on the television, it was talking about this race and the momentum of Denny Hamlin and probably his teammate Michael Jordan.
So Bob Kaufman started this company in Manchester, Connecticut after he graduated UConn Business School. And now they're all over the country. And what I love is that at the end of every Bob's TV commercial, that race car zooms onto the screen and it says proud sponsor of Denny Hamlin. I mean, that's the kind of activation that is going to raise this sport. So hats off to Bob.
Well, and let's not forget, I mean, this part of North Carolina and the country is where the most people watch NASCAR racing.
That's right, Greensboro market,
that's
always
right.
number one.
Chase Elliott fourth on the board. 1973. He's now run 10 laps, his ninth of those 10, his best.
Well, guys, fast cars go fast. Obviously, the 9 car is one of those, but look at that board right there. 3 Toyotas right there on the top.
And one of those is Ty Gibbs, who early in his career we were saying, all right, when is he going to win a race? And then for most of last season it was, will he ever win a race? And I think now the conversation's back to when.
I agree. And the reason that you get in those conversations of when you're going to win a race is because you're consistently up in the top 5. And this 54 car has finished 6th last week, but before that a few weeks in a row in the top 5. So when you have that kind of speed and you're consistently learning how to compete in the top 5 week after week to adjust on your cars and make those high pressure pit stops, eventually it'll happen.
Man, I think you said it, the adjustments. We've made adjustments within Joe Gibbs Racing to put emphasis on this race car. I get it, first year, maybe 2, the grandson, let's just let him mature here, let him learn. It's time, and we're going to put some emphasis on this race car, and he's ready for it. The experience is finally there. He's proven it this year. This car is extremely fast, and I agree. I'm getting on your train, Kevin. I think it's going to be in victory lane, and it's going to happen this year.
Let's check with Larry Mack.
Yeah, Mike, you know I'm always listening to you guys even during commercial break, but I thought you had a great question. Yeah, we talk about 80 more horsepower, and that's, of course, horsepower down the straightaway. But what makes a big difference coming off the corner as far as bite or hard on the rear tires is torque. And this package also has about 80 foot-pounds more torque. It's over 500 pounds of torque now off the corner. That's what spins those rear tires more than the horsepower.
Well, it's like thunder gets everybody's attention. Lightning does the work. That's the relationship between horsepower and torque as well.
Yeah, and you watch Blaney right here. He has a little bit different approach than everybody that we've been talking about. His big thing, and we talk about how he can drive a looser car and his car turns, he wraps the curb a lot better than everybody else. And the guys that we've been talking about have been diamonding the corner. So Ryan Blaney, much different approach to this racetrack than other guys.
We call that harvicking, Kevin. At least we have up in the booth when you perfected it at Phoenix and elsewhere. Just wrapping the bottom.
The other thing I was noticing, guys, is with Blaney in particular, we know he gets around here good, and you just told me Reddick struggles here, Mike. I was watching Reddick really see how hard he drives into the corner compared to Blaney. You can really see that car, jump back on the nose and kind of upset it, back to the gas, off the gas. Blaney's car never moves. It never really slams down on the nose. It doesn't do anything, kind of effortlessly, and Reddick is driving his car extremely hard behind him.
Well, Blaney's had a rough couple of weeks on pit road. No changes to that pit crew. They're soldiering on, and if he's going to be a contender Sunday, his pit crew is going to have to rise to the occasion. They've lost him a total of 75 spots this year in total. Look at that. Bubba Wallace, Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin at the top of the board with 16 minutes to go in Group
practice so far, what we see could translate, and that could be trouble for everybody tomorrow.
It's got him 13th on the leaderboard overall, and as we look at the leaderboard, Bubba Wallace is the fastest of everybody. Then you get into a string of 3 cars in Group 2. Ty Gibbs, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott. You have Todd Gilliland, that's 5th. Connor Zilic is 6th. Josh Berry is 7th. And then you get to another cluster of race cars that are 8th overall on single lap speed. Ryan Preece is 8th. William Byron's 9th. And Ross Chastain of Trackhouse Racing is 10th.
Just watch Chase Elliott drive up and underneath Chase Briscoe and put him in the mirror. So Elliott drove by Hamlin. He's gotten away from Hamlin by 20 car lengths. Now he just drove by Chase Briscoe and has put 4 car lengths between himself and that Toyota. Chase Elliott's car looks like it is handling this racetrack quite well as Hendrick Motorsports is still looking for their first win here of the season.
Yeah, it's surprising that Chevrolet is yet to break into victory lane here in the NASCAR Cup Series, and also Hendrick Motorsports, a byproduct of that, obviously, has yet to find their first win. This is the latest they've gone into a season in a long, long time without winning a race to kick off a racing season. Let's check in downstairs with Chris.
Yeah, Mike, and one of the elements this weekend, too, at Martinsville Speedway with that increased horsepower is maybe a little bit in changing on how much brake each of these teams is using and how the drivers are attacking corner entry. It's been interesting listening to Chase Briscoe's radio, who, of course, is a driver trying to climb out of an early season deficit in the points standings here in 2026. And Drew's been telling him about driving it into a certain marker, maybe try to use a little less brake on entry on certain ends of the racetrack. Different laps, they've been doing different experiments on braking, because don't forget, you are using a little bit, or do have a little more horsepower on corner entry. So the drivers, although they'd like to use more brake, you definitely don't want to use your brakes up over the course of a 400 lap race tomorrow. So one of the other elements with the new horsepower package, not just tire fall off and where the rubber is, but how you use your braking and what braking adjustments you need to make, whether it's with bias or other things like that the driver can do to get your car to help turn and not, again, abuse the brakes. So brakes another factor here at Martinsville on such a short track.
Ryan Blaney continues to put down great laps here in this practice session. He passed Denny Hamlin and drove away from him, passed Chase Briscoe, drove away from Briscoe, and he is now past Reddick and has absolutely left Tyler Reddick as well. I would say Ryan Blaney's feeling pretty good about his race car.
Yeah, he is. But let's go back to the Tyler Reddick discussion. In our production meeting this week, we all had a question. Tyler Reddick's never finished in the top 5 here at the Martinsville Speedway. Well, right now, perhaps some kryptonite is rising to the surface for what has been a Superman-like effort for Tyler Reddick. And
probably the best cars right now.
Yeah, 11, 9, and 12, from what I'm seeing, is kind of right there on top of one another. Looking at a graph, they're almost identical lap times. Believe it or not, Chastain in the 1 car's pretty darn good.
Yeah, and William Byron, and you see Ross Chastain right here. Saw that car bounce getting in the corner right there, Clint. I didn't like that, the way that left front tire tried to lock up and that left front would bounce like that. Talk about Chastain, we heard him pretty vocal about where they were with their cars last week at Darlington in his pre-race interview. You see that car bounce, Clint.
Yeah.
Did it again.
And then you see wheel lock right in the center of the corner.
Yeah, chasing down his teammate SVG right in front of him.
And immediately losing lap time, too. That was 2/10 off from the
Watch this thing
lap.
right here.
Oh, it almost jumps.
Yeah, it jumps right there, and that tire actually locks up every time that he goes over that.
And that's by himself and not any pressure. You start in race conditions and trying to turn under somebody, out-brake them, or keep somebody behind you and having to be harder on the brake. He's already maxed out limit right there. You get worse, and it's going to lock that tire up, like you say, Kevin. You can see the difference in the 97 to him.
Yeah, and he actually ran the 97 car down, I thought, at one point, but see right here, the 97 of Shane Van Gisbergen is actually driving back off. So
now watching Ross, he is diamonding turns 1 and 2, but he's wrapping the bottom in 3 and 4. Is that typical?
It just depends on your car, but you want to do everything that you can, but a lot of it just depends on what you're fighting with your car and what you need the help with. So definitely, as simple as it looks, you have a lot of options at this racetrack to right next to the curb, diamond the corner, drive in harder, less, whatever it is, you got to play to the strength of your car, but I was always just right around the curb. Larry?
Yeah, you were just showing Shane Van Gisbergen in that 97 car. They had a pretty scary situation this morning in the garage area. Trackhouse Racing does not bring their cars to the racetrack with the race battery in it. It's a lithium-ion battery, and there's always a little concern with a lithium-ion battery that if it gets low on voltage, it can actually short out. They bring their batteries to the racetrack in a steel box, put the race battery in before practice. About 9:30 a.m. this morning, they put their battery in, cut the main power switch on. It shorted every wire in the car out. They had the dash out, the windshield out. There was a lot of scrambling with that 97 car, so they're really lucky to be out there making these practice runs.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Larry, that's very concerning, but that 97 car is actually doing the same thing that SVG is doing into turn 3. So I don't know if that's a Trackhouse thing, but watch that left front tire. It does the exact same thing that Ross Chastain's car is doing. So
Ryan Preece, all the RFK cars had a great day at Martinsville, at one point running 1-2-3. And he's been a former pole sitter here.
Glad you brought that up, Mike. I mean, what a difference a week makes in NASCAR, and that's what I love about the schedule that we have. You come off a track like Darlington onto a short track. Priest is definitely leading the charge in 8th, but the other two are 29th and 30th back there. Spire's kind of along the same road there. Really good last weekend, struggling to find some speed with their best car in 15th this week.
Now, Tyler Reddick, 21st overall as far as his fastest lap. Right now, he's on pace with everybody that's on the racetrack right now, and he's run 43 laps. Here's his radio.
Just something to try here. You can try getting a little slower at your min speed point, so maybe just a little more braking right all the way to that. Maybe that'll help you. Something to try. We're just giving you feedback there. Or more wheel sooner. That could scrub it. That's another option. That could do it as well.
Talk to me, Clint.
I don't like the more wheel and scrubbing speed in the center. I mean, I understand what he's saying. What they're trying to get him to do is slow the car down to get it rotated to where it's not rolling all the way around the corner. I mean, you obviously have to get the car rotated to get the throttle down. The problem with this racetrack is his corners are so wide and sweeping. If you pick that gas up too soon, now you're in trouble at the wall and have to lift. It is definitely a timing thing. There he tried to roll it up a little bit like they're talking about. But scrubbing speed in the center and doing it with the front tires is only going to make them mad, and they're only going to get worse.
7.5 minutes to go in Group 2 practice, then we'll switch to qualifying.
Money, Blaney trying to find his way through, but can't quite get to the back bumper. It looks like Christopher Bell may have something in store here this
He
weekend.
very well could. See Bell's car runs about a half lane higher through the middle of the corner than what Blaney does, who is absolutely glued to the bottom of the racetrack. As they make their way right to left down the backstretch across your radio dial, they're going to run parallel with a Norfolk Southern Railroad train that is making its way past the Martinsville Speedway through all the motorhomes on the back straightaway.
That is one of the very unique aspects here at Martinsville. Alex described how this track sits basically at the end of the street behind a row of some houses. Then you have the track. Then behind the racetrack, you have the train that right now is passing right to left and at a very reduced rate of speed, just adding to the ambiance that punctuates a visit to the Martinsville Speedway.
Down to 6.5 minutes to go here in this Group 2 practice session. That will wrap up all of practice for the NASCAR Cup Series. Don't forget, qualifying will be immediately after that. 2 hot laps for each one of those drivers. They'll take their fastest one of those 2 laps. Continuing to watch that trio of cars, Mike, that you pointed out a moment ago. Chastain, Chris Christopher Bell and Blaney. Bell went way up the racetrack here in turn 4. Blaney drove by, Eric Jones drove by, but Christopher Bell with an issue there in turns 3 and 4.
Had to put both feet on the brake pedal and woe that thing down, and he takes it off turn 2 right now to get his sea legs back from under him. That was a hold your breath moment. We talk about his teammate Chase Briscoe, who just got bypassed by Ryan Preece of Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing. By the way, Ryan will be our guest analyst today on the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series broadcast. He's going to climb out of his black and orange Ford Mustang, debrief with the crew, and he'll be a part of our coverage beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Chase Briscoe is having a heck of a time keeping his car to the bottom of the racetrack. Matter of fact, he almost just threw it away in turn 1.
Yeah, this is a head scratcher for this team right now, because there just isn't a whole lot you can do to the setup of these race cars on a normal race weekend. This is your only practice session that you have. Crew Chief James Small, Chase, as he comes up off turn 4, the back end of that car fishtails on him as he tries to apply the power.
Talked to Chase earlier this week, and he felt that he and James Small needed to focus on the short track program. They feel they got their intermediates right, their mile and a half right, and he says that there are some learning opportunities here on short tracks. And right now, when we look on the leaderboard and see Chase Briscoe, well, we've got to go over on the right side of the scoring monitor. They are 32nd of 37 cars that have taken time in practice so far.
And 22nd in the championship point standings coming into this weekend. You know, there's a demographic of people in the garage, Mike, that's
Same thing. As you go over that concrete and the way it releases off that concrete, you see him up the racetrack. A lot of those guys that are lower on the racetrack, those like SVG and Ross Chastain, the guys that were hitting that bump, and you can see the rubber on the racetrack down there getting into turn 3. The guys that are lower, Bell, a little bit higher than that. You got to have a little wheel into it as you go from the asphalt to the concrete on the entry to turn 3.
So rolling past on the back straightaway, those are auto racks. I think they're 85 feet long. They hold 3 levels of cars. They have grates on the side. Used to be able to see the cars. It was kind of like great promotion, but
look how close it is to the track.
And they moved it back so that Martinsville could build backstretch stands and those positions there for the motor coaches.
I hated that thing.
The train?
Because it woke you up.
Every time. I actually got to the point where I wouldn't stay in my motorhome here because the train would come by, and of course, every time it comes by, it's honking.
The reason you hate it is right there, because that's where the road goes across the tracks. It's what's called an at-grade crossing.
Oh, an at-grade crossing. Do you know that, Kevin?
Coming up to the grade crossing, the engineer has to blow the whistle. 2 longs, 1 short, and 1 long. That's the symbol for grade crossing, and that's what wakes you up every time.
Well, now that we've derailed this far, let me get you all the way off the tracks. You know what crossed there and derailed? Me and my bus one night. I come back across leaving here, and I forgot to air it up. Boy, I heard stuff dragging. It was not a good sound. Got hung up on the tracks. And what would you say that crossing was? In
a grade crossing.
Yeah, mine was degraded.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Well, I feel like this is the best car right here currently.
For sure.
Denny Hamlin has been out there the whole time, as many of them have. I feel like he's got the best race car. SVG, John Hunter, or Eric Jones right here. But SVG, he's taken off from his teammate Clint, and as I look at those lap times that he's been running, they're not too bad.
Well, everybody's kind of leveled off a little bit, but I still think if we're going to crown a winner of practice, it's going to be Denny Hamlin. It's going to be somebody in the Gibbs car. And speaking of Gibbs, I think Ty Gibbs is right there with him. Chase Elliott, I was watching him very fast from the middle of the run, but as we keep inching onto the tail end of this run here, the 9's falling off a pinch. Jamie?
Well, you guys were talking about the train. I wanted to talk about the Hurricane. The 77 Carson Hocevar is struggling. We interviewed him last week, finished 4th, had a great run, but today brakes are the issue. He also doesn't have right rear grip, but he said he just can't hit the brakes hard enough to get that car to rotate like he wants to. And guys, he's been talking about the brake bias. He's tried the front, he's tried the rear. Nothing seems to help. So Clint and Kevin, you guys elaborate a little bit on what that tool is for these drivers inside the car and how it can maybe help and maybe not so much.
Well, I think that you definitely have to get the braking right, because in this Gen 7 car, you have to be able to drive into the corner hard and the car be stable and not lock up the tires. And you want that car to be balanced with the brakes so that the rear, you don't have too much front brake and lock up the tire or make the car push. So from a driver's standpoint, you can adjust on those brakes as we watch Denny Hamlin's footwork right here. I always love these shots right here of the feet, and you can really see the way that you have to brake. Heavy braking, getting in a corner, and then you bleed off, but he's coming to pit road now.
Let me take care of business real quick, and do not forget about this. RFK. Didn't see much of them. Talked about them just a minute ago, as a matter of fact, with Priest being in 8th, but the other two, 29th and 30th. The other two, Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski, very fast on a long run. There they are.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You know, you're fast on a long run, and then you qualify in the back.
Gonna need to qualify.
You gotta qualify good to take advantage of that speed like they had last week.
So time expires with Bubba Wallace fastest overall in Toyota. Chase Elliott, the fastest Chevy, in 4th, and Todd Gilliland, the fastest Ford, in 5th. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube and Facebook, coverage continues on Prime Video. Qualifying getting underway shortly.
Everybody will make their way back to the pit lane. Time now for a final adjustment or two before you put your car in line to get set for qualifying, and we'll have it for you live in just a moment. From Martinsville Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you. There's pride in self-reliance, in working with your hands, in harnessing the power of an E3 spark plug with Diamond Fire technology. You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you.
Break it down a little more. Best 10 lap consecutive, well, that was Chase Elliott. Best 20 consecutive was Ryan Blaney. Best 30 consecutive lap average was Kyle Larson.
Perhaps maybe we have our short list of ones to consider tomorrow here at the Martinsville Speedway. Of course, we've seen drivers pop up over the years that have been a factor. We've seen some drivers that have not been factors so far, at least in practice. We're speaking of Tyler Reddick. We're speaking of Chase Briscoe. Speaking of Christopher Bell. So we'll see what their 2 laps of qualifying will give them. And then, of course, that'll set the starting lineup for tomorrow's race.
So some rubber was put down on the racetrack as practice wrapped up there. So we'll see what the track conditions will be like once it's time to go out and go qualifying here in just a bit. Ryan Preece, our guest analyst for the O'Reilly Auto
here.
Yeah, I think reasonable. I'd like to be faster on the speed chart, but I think we're more focused on being good in race trim. And I always feel like Jamie, Martinsville is a track that you can kind of cheat practice a little bit, you know, like overdrive your car, and, you know, that's not what you're going to have to race. So I was really happy with where we ended up after, 30, 40 laps. So that's good. But, we'll see what shows up for Sunday. We got to get through qualifying. We need to qualify well. This is a track where qualifying is important to get those stage points. The stages here are really short in the spring race, and if you don't qualify well, it's hard to get those points. So want to make that happen, and obviously have a good pit stall.
Hard to believe, but it's your 600th career start. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. It went fast. Jamie, I think you were there for every one of them. So we have 600 starts together, but
we're getting older, I think, is what you're saying. We've been around.
That was my nice way of saying that. But it's been a good ride, and I still got a lot more left in me. I want to get past 800, so that's a lot more races.
Breaking news. Yes, you're going to be here for another 10, 15 years. Got to feed those 4 mouths. Mike.
Miles and miles to go.
To be an analyst with us this afternoon here on the Motor Racing Network in our NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series coverage. And Ryan Priest has already been to victory lane at the Clash at Bowman Gray. Now he's going to try to win a points-paying race, and that would be obviously his first of 2026. Practice is over. Qualifying is coming up from Martinsville Speedway. This is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Visit the NASCAR shop online to find all of your favorite officially licensed NASCAR product. The NASCAR shop is the official online.
Another Ken Squire. I don't think anybody could rise to that level.
Motor Racing Network's NASCAR Live presents podcasts 50 years of MRN. Jeff Gordon, A Colorful Career, the 1993 season, Junior's Journey, and more. Search for NASCAR Live on your favorite podcast platform.
Back at Martinsville Speedway, cars are being pushed into qualifying formation. Everybody will get 2 laps of qualifying coming up. We'll have that for you in a moment. Right now, let's catch up with the driver that was fastest overall in single lap speed. Bubba Wallace is with Chris Wilner.
Yes, Bubba Wallace with the Hardee's colors, talking to Raja Carruth, who will be taking part in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race here in just a little bit this afternoon on the Motor Racing Network. And Bubba's trying to help Raja a little bit with where braking is. So good conversations here with Raja. What, you giving them some of the speed secrets from practice for his race this afternoon?
I was going to hook him up with the Bubba Wallace meal at Hardee's.
There you go. What is in that, by the way?
It's 3-piece tenders, large Coke, and fry.
Speaking my language.
It's so good. It's right across the street. Go get one.
I'm going to do that after this broadcast. But tell me about your race car in practice. Fastest on single lap, but how was the longevity of your Toyota?
Yeah, you can kind of get lost in the sauce there, looking at group to group. Group 2 usually has less deg, looks a little bit better. We went out, we waited a little bit to clear off the rubber from yesterday, and our Hardee's Camry looks good, it runs good. We've really changed the philosophy on our setup to just be better here. We've been okay. We've run top 5 at times, but we want to win. We had the speed. Our 2311 cars had the speed, so I thought it was a big power movement to be the fastest overall from Group 1. And, so now it's qualifying. Forget what I just said and go out there and ship it and see what we got.
I was going to say, does this car have pole? Because we know how important qualifying is with the pit selection.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I go back to the odds are against you when you're in Group 1. But Seabell did it a couple races ago. And we studied that, and I think we have all the right notes and right car and right people. So let's make it happen.
Good luck. Bubba Wallace with the Hardee's colors. Boy, made me hungry there in that interview, but fastest in practice. We'll see if it translates to qualifying.
To Steve Post.
Justin Allgaier down here, a little debrief. They've just actually fired up the Ally Chevrolet down here as well, so a lot of noise down here. All right, how is the substitution role going and getting a chance to do it a few weeks in a row? How are things?
Well, obviously, still thinking about Alex. Want to get him back in the car as soon as possible. If you go off of how we've run the last 2 weeks, Alex definitely needs to get back because we haven't had the speed that we want to. But really proud of this 48 Ally team, and they're doing a great job. I mean, obviously, to be in this role and for them even to try to have somebody else jump in this car and do this, it's a tough challenge. And so, proud of the team, proud of the effort. We got to work on for us today. I think that the differences between the two cars is really significant here. So, just trying to maximize this car as best you can. And when the whole field is separated by just a couple of tenths, it's hard to learn, what the differences need to be in that moment.
What are some of the things, big picture differences between the O'Reilly Auto Parts cars and these Cup cars? We've talked about it, but you're jumping back and forth today between the two of them.
Yeah, probably the biggest thing, obviously, is, shifting in the Cup car versus not shifting in the O'Reilly car. But, the amount of brakes that you have, being able to get the car stopped in the corner, really adjusts your line. So all the things that kind of you value in the O'Reilly Series car are very different for the Cup Series car. So either way, we're going to go out there. We're going to put a solid qualifying lap down, hopefully. And, I think once the race starts tomorrow, we'll have a great shot at it. And this team, Blake Harris has done a great job of keeping us in these races, even when it's, not looking good. He's able to keep us in these races, keep us moving forward. So that's really what we're going to focus on.
That's Justin Allgaier, and by the way, he will lead us to green when we go racing with the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race later this afternoon.
By virtue of the rule book, they were starting qualifying for the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series yesterday afternoon when the rains came, when the 7th driver was ready to go out. So they scrapped qualifying, they set it by the rule books, and Justin Allgaier will lead the field to the green flag. From Martinsville Speedway, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
NASCAR fans, iRacing Studios brings you NASCAR 25. Race hundreds of the biggest stars of the sport on top tracks from Daytona to Sonoma. Start your career in the ARCA Menard Series and work your way up to Cup while managing team members, sponsors, and more. Or compete online with NASCAR fans around the world. NASCAR 25, available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Head to NASCAR25.com to buy now.
Looking for a weekly motorsports podcast to stay up to date on what's happening on and off the track? The Motor Racing Network is the place. Hear from NASCAR crew chiefs on MRN Crew Call. All the happenings from regional touring series and local tracks on NASCAR Coast to Coast. Sprint Car Talk on Winged Nation. NASCAR history on MRN Classic Races. And hear from the drivers.
Bubba Wallace, Rajah Caruth talking things over here in the infield at Martinsville as we get ready for qualifying. All right, I've been vindicated on X, probably for the first time. We can call it anti-social media. But Dr. Deandra, who is a scientist, says nuclear red is one of the stains biologists use so they can see cell nuclei. And thinking about it, it is about the same color as the inside of that hot dog. So thank you. Austin Hill is going to kick us off for qualifying here.
You're as dangerous on social media as my father is. We got to get your account suspended.
Oh, boy. Hear that 33 car of Austin Hill right there. Sideways, spinning the tires. Hopefully this lap's a little bit better, but going out early, you see the back sliding all over the place. Going out early like that it's going to clean the racetrack up just like we tell you every week. And in Martinsville, it's even worse.
Now, Austin won the Saturday race here last fall, or last year rather. 19:9:21, fastest on lap 2, and that is right on top of where he practiced.
Yeah, and you're gonna have to pick up some speed in order to get yourself at the front of this racetrack. But these first several cars are typically in big trouble because of all the rubber on the racetrack.
Cody Ware has 16 career short track starts. Best finish of 17th, and this year a best start of 18th.
See him just rub the curb right there on the entry into turn 1, shoved him up the racetrack about a half a lane. So you want to be right next to the curb, but you don't want to hit it. Fine line. Great first lap for Cody right there, 1971.
That's 2/10 faster than he practiced.
Yeah, and I think that's
2/10 faster than Hill. I mean, you can just look at the car. It's way more stuck than Austin Hill. '72, basically right on top of one another. 71 with a 9, 72 with a 5.
That's drag racing
Sound
lingo.
like we're at the
Clint?
drag
Yeah.
strip, isn't it? Pro stock class.
Riley Herbst, 12th in practice. He's making his third Martinsville Cup start.
Riley had a great run last week at Darlington before he got spun out there in the middle of the race, but he was running 11th, 12th, right in that area. Probably best run that he's had this year so far for sure.
Well, definitely positioned himself well within a 2311 organization. Fast cars go fast, said it 100 times already, but ride that wave, right? When those guys are leading that charge, you follow suit and learn as much as you can, and the proof is in the speed of that race car last week, as you said, Kev.
Yeah.
He's a few thousandths faster than practice on lap 1.
That car's hitting the rev limiter at the end of the straightaway.
I'll tell you why.
It's fast.
Currently P1 by almost 2/10. We'll see how this shakes out here.
And he is 2/10 faster than practice. He's the first driver for whom his second lap was the quickest.
Yeah, and he actually kind of just missed turn 1 a little bit, so there's definitely a little bit left in that car, but that surprised me that it's hitting that chip at the end of the straightaway.
Ty Dillon was 24th in practice. Black's Tire is going to sponsor the weekend at Rockingham next weekend with the O'Reilly Series and the Truck Series down at the North Carolina Motor Speedway.
Just barely bumped.
Yeah, I guess they're all going to do it.
Well, yeah. Lost a lot of speed in the center of the corner. Saw it roll up on the bottom, and then the Ghost car get away from him. A little tight in the middle.
1980, a 10th better than practice.
See how that car's slow to transition and rotate? Herbst drives right through it in the Ghost car. Watch him go in. It's going to diamond, be slow in the center. See Herbst's car, when he pulls on that wheel, that thing goes left. That enables him to get the power down and stay down on the exit while Ty is still waiting on his car.
Yeah, and we talk about that rev limiter, Clint. I mean, that used to be a normal thing here. You used to actually drive off of that rev limiter as to where you would let off.
Where you'd lift.
Cole Custer, 26th in practice with a 1982. His best finish of 13th here came in November 2020.
Yeah, and you know, I was Cole's teammate for several years over at Stewart Haas Racing, and he does a great job. Right now, they just have to get their cars better. Cole has the capability to be competitive and do the things that it takes to run in the front part of this field, but this 41 car has been off all year.
It's not that far up this time around.
Wow, 53. That is 3/10 pickup from practice.
That's exactly what they need. They got to figure out how to get themselves, just like Brad Keselowski, you got to figure out how to get yourself qualified at the front of the pack, because I'm telling you, the driver can do it.
So he rolls a little bit more speed through 3 and 4, but then Riley would come back to him on the exit. Almost identical laps, 53 and a 53 with a 7.
And I think back to the SHR days in Martinsville, we ran way better in the Gen 7 car at this racetrack than we did the Gen 6 car. And for whatever reason, you know, those cars always seem to run good here. You won in them before I did, but
still holding true with that car.
Well, I guess they got more serious about the non-vegan nation, because look at the hood. Right at the leading edge of the hood on Ricky Stenhouse's car.
Loose.
Got on the curb too, got on it again.
Right on the nose, says move over, vegan. So Stenhouse has 3 top 10s in 26 Martinsville starts. He was 14th in practice.
Car's light on its feet, sliding around the corner pretty much all the way through. He's manhandling it.
A 10th better than practice on his first lap.
Here we go. A lot better 1 and 2. Bump the chip. Oh, loose again.
Over that bump down there. Had a great lap going until that point.
And just a little slip up. I mean, teeny tiny, and look at the difference it makes.
Yeah, and on our Ghost car, I mean, it looks like a ton, but you see on the scoreboard right there, it's 0.14 of a second. Yeah. It's not that much, and that just, you're splitting hairs here at Martinsville to be able to, how much throttle is too much throttle, how far is too far in the corner before it locks up the tires. So very fine line.
This one was ready to get here after last weekend.
13 straight top 10s at Martinsville. If you're on X, formerly Twitter, you need to follow Comics by Bruno. He is in Spain. He does a wonderful job, and what he drew about last week had me laughing for half the morning. They show Joey down on the apron driving a Pinto because that's about how much speed he had compared to everybody else. But now it's a new day, a new track, and at 1943, Joey is fastest, 2.5 tenths quicker than practice.
You see his line is really different into turn one, kind of wide, but he always exits the corner low and straight, and he's able to put that power down and put it to good use.
Picks up another 10th, 1938.
And I think that this is just the racetrack's gonna keep getting better. I mean, some of this is there's been some better cars go as we progress, but in the end, I think it's the racetrack picking up the speed more than it's just the cars themselves.
Justin Allgaier making his 4th start of the season, his 3rd in the 48, substituting for Alex Bowman. It was announced more than a week ago that Bowman will also miss Bristol in 2 weeks, off week for Easter next week. And hopefully then he is able to return. But in the meantime, Justin Allgaier filling the seat. He had a 1994 in practice. Big pickup.
Little bit, just clips a curb just a little bit in 3 and 4. I think there's some more on the table down here in 3 and 4 if he can get there.
That's almost half a second better than what he had in practice.
He's rushing the throttle a little bit, couldn't stay with it wide open at the wall.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that is just him being used to driving those O'Reilly Series cars. You could see the way he would roll through that late part of the middle of the corner, and Logano would get that car up the racetrack, squared up so that he can put the power down. It's just, you make speed different with this car than the O'Reilly car.
It's like he had the car slowed and rotated a little bit too early for this car.
Noah Gragson, 23rd in practice with a 1981. Finished 11th here, November 2 years ago, his best career short track finish, and he won a truck race here.
Well, we saw what he was doing with shifting coming to the green the way he did, but again, another wheel lockup, Kevin.
Well, we saw this in practice. He was locking up the tire in race trim too, so the exact same problem that he had on his race run, he's done here in qualifying, so that'll be hard not to do again.
1974, not quite a 10th better than practice. $1965 for Noah Gragson, pickup of a 10th and a half. John Hunter Nemechek has an O'Reilly win here, a truck win here, but in 6 Cup starts, his best finish is 21st.
Yeah, you know, this team has shown some definite bright spots, and I think that the thing that they got to figure out is how to get that consistency to be able to have more of those bright spots. It's obviously hard to do all the time, but they're getting better.
11th fastest in practice. A first lap 1968. That's about a 10th better than practice.
See him with a really high entry right there. Just not able to get that car rotated to be able to put the power down to make those big laps, make that big lap like Logano did.
Ten of 37 cars have made their qualifying runs. Larry.
Yeah, Mike, I'm here with 6-time Martinsville winner Denny Hamlin. Denny, you ran 67 laps. The car looked good. The stopwatch looks good. But something tells me with your experience, your success, you just know the feel you need for this half mile. What's the feel like?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely good for Saturday. We're going to have to adapt it for tomorrow. But overall, the Bob's Discount Furniture car was, kind of right what we thought it was going to be. And need to go out here and execute a good qualifying lap. I think that's going to be really important. Pit road's really tight here, and so getting in those first, probably 8 selections is going to be a game changer.
How tough is that to go out there and run 67 laps, fall off over a second, now go out there and cut these 2 laps on tires with the air pumped up?
Yeah, that's one of the most difficult parts about this is that your braking points change when you get into the throttle, how fast the car wraps the curb through the middle as the rubber gets picked up. So, this track, it's going to continue to get faster for the next probably 10 cars, and then you're going to see it plateau at that point.
Well, good luck tomorrow, buddy, and good luck this afternoon. Mike, this group, they're trying to dot every I, cross every T. We know how tough this pit road is. They were practicing pit road speed right before they practiced and right after.
Yeah, and, well, there's a lot of meat on that bone here. I think that the pit road is definitely difficult because we saw Denny when he tried to check his pit road speed. You got to run that curve faster than what your pit road speed on the straightaway. So, but it's always, the car always wants to buck. It wants to hop and bounce, which makes it hard to check your speed. So tricky pit road because of all the little nuances of it.
Hamlin will go out 30th of 37. On the right is how we started the day, and on the left shows where the track has taken rubber.
Well, it's taken the rubber up on the left, yeah. And I think that, on the right, that's exactly what we're talking about. You'll start to see, this racetrack clean up on the inside of the racetrack right there, and that's what these cars like to make speed. That rubber almost makes it not have as much grip as what it does when it's clean.
And we're going to keep an eye on this. I mean, this is only 10 cars in, and it's only going to get better for those last maybe 10 cars when I think, obviously the better cars are going to happen.
A.J. Allmendinger has 2 runner-up finishes here. He was 20th in practice.
Well, what these guys are doing with this college racing team, I mean, they basically, they've taken the Dodge truck program and kind of been abandoned with all their simulation tools and things. So they're doing a great job in managing the scenario, have been fairly competitive with the scenario that they're in. So AJ has a lot of experience.
1957 on his second lap, and that's 0.2 better than practice.
And what he's talking about with that Colic car is, all these organizations manufacturer-wise talk and have a database that they share together, and them moving forward and looking into the future, when Dodge comes along and to be a part of that, they had to bail off that
had to make a decision.
Yeah, we're playing a long game.
Kyle Larson went out in Group 1. He ended up 16th in practice with a 1978. He won this race 3 years ago and has finished 6th or better in 7 straight Martinsville races.
I like looking at the ghost car, Joey Logano. He saw it, he diamond in it, and when his exit, look how low and straight his exit is. He gets to the gas, he goes wide open with it, doesn't have to feather the throttle at all.
Larson 3rd with a 50.
They roll in faster than him, or this time they may get him all the way around, but see how much better he gets off the corner because of that diamond. Rolls up in the center. Those teams will be watching that.
2nd with a 43. That's 3.5 better than he practiced.
Him diamond in the corner and coming off a little more straight enables to keep that left rear down on the ground and really be aggressive with the throttle when you go back to it, and that's the difference maker so far. Pretty good lap for Larson, though.
Austin Dillon has 2 wins and 5 top 10s in the last 9 short track races. And Martinsville's been a pretty good track for him. 1978 in practice for the number 3.
Same thing there, Clint. You see this 3 car do exactly what Kyle Larson did, just roll through that middle to 3/4 part of the corner. Now he's up the racetrack.
His mid-corner RPM dropped right down and below 5,000. That's, I think, the lowest we've seen.
He's rolling the center with a lot more speed, and it hurts his exit because he doesn't have the car rotated and can't get back to the throttle.
Yeah, and that's the hard part about this Gen 7 car is adjusting everything that you've done for your whole life on short tracks to be able to adapt to what makes speed with this car. So
his 62 is a 10th and a half better than practice. Todd Gilliland, fastest Ford in practice, finished top 10 in both races here last year. 1973 in practice.
I used to always hate being fast in practice here because then you had to go out there and back it up, and it's so hard to back up.
Puts a lot of pressure on you.
Yeah, you see him lock up the tire.
Local sponsor of Dario. Several of those around the Triad area in Winston. Not bad either.
It's good.
Yeah.
1958.
And that's why you put the name on the car, Clint, because I'd never heard of it.
Well, you need to wake up.
Yeah.
Don't know what you're missing, cowboy.
Quick service restaurant. They got a fast drive-through, and they've got a menu that's, well, it's just different from everybody else. We like it. Todd Gilliland, 1958, and that's a 10th and a half better than practice. I'm sure they wanted more.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with, you know, it puts a lot of pressure. You get, and especially when it's not consistent like we've seen with Todd in the performance of that team. It's like, all right, I got to go out here and make it happen. But this car right here, Bubba Wallace, was our fastest car in practice, and now we're going to see what this 23 car has. Yeah, and still that big diamond for Joey Logano, and being able to get that car pointed and up off the corner is paying off for him on this first lap.
A lot better 1 and 2 for Bubba that time. A lot better.
Oh. He just had to chase it up the racetrack right there through the middle of the corner. Had him beat through turns 1 and 2, but got down there to 3 and 4. It's just so hard to put both ends of the racetrack together and get the most out of it.
Well, and a lot of times because of how good he got through 1 and 2, you roll into 3 and 4 and blow it. I think that's what happened. I mean, and again, you're just talking about so little, so minute of inputs with everything at this racetrack.
Connor Zilic making his first career short track start in the Cup Series. Had 2 top 10s here in the Saturday races last year.
Yeah, that
bumped the curb getting in.
He bumped the curb, but sounded a little funny with the downshifts right there.
I think he was a little loose.
6th fastest in practice.
Got it on the exit too. That's going to hurt this next lap.
Way down the chart, 1977.
Yeah, and the thing that he's doing right there, he has a really late downshift where you hear a lot of the guys have their downshift done before they get to the concrete patch. His was all the way down onto the concrete patch, so waiting a lot longer to downshift.
Picked it up to 6th fastest, 1953. 2/10 better than practice. Kyle Busch for Richard Childress. Kyle has 16 short track Cup Series wins, but in 18 short track starts with RCR, just 1 top 10 finish.
Pretty hard to believe.
Yes.
Desperately needing a turnaround for not only Kyle Busch, the 8 car, but RCR. A good racetrack for him.
1981 in practice, he was 22nd. 1970.
Loose again in the second corner.
Yeah, we saw that 3 car earlier was light on his feet too.
Yep.
This one looks to be a little bit further to the loose side than his teammate Austin Dillon. And remember, Austin Hill, when he went out earlier, he was wrecking loose all over the place.
Yeah, so. This car looks nervous. Didn't look down in the track at all at any point in the corner either. In, middle, off.
Josh Berry next up. The Wood Brothers home and shop in Stewart, Virginia. Just a short drive to the west of Martinsville on US 58. And Josh got his first career O'Reilly win here in April 2021. Finished 10th here last fall in the Cup car. He was 7th in practice.
Well, we expect Josh Berry to run good here at Martinsville. He's got a lot of experience here. Done a great job, great short track racer, and you can tell that they've been talking about where to put those cars on the racetrack. They're almost identical.
Top of the chart.
He was the first one that held suit with Joey in 3 and 4. A lot of them were faster than him in 1 and 2. Nobody in 3 and 4 got the job done. He's going to get a little more this time.
Yeah, it's all about getting that car rotated. And you got to get the car in the corner hard enough. He goes a little bit faster on lap 2, 19:33. So great lap from Josh Berry.
Yeah, picked up another half a tenth on lap 2.
But you got to get the car in there hard enough and fast enough to be able to use enough brake and it rotate. You got to get it rotated so you can make that straightaway longer and not have any wheel in that car.
And the timing aspect of that is where all the juice is, because if you don't, now you rotate sooner, you pick up the gas sooner, now you can't stay with it on the exit.
And you heard Denny Hamlin talk about the timing of this qualifying lap. So hard as a driver, as we watch the first lap from Zane Smith right here, but so hard as a driver, and you have to feel that on the up to speed lap and the first lap and really try to get that dialed in for the second lap, because that timing is where I lift, how much brake do I use, when do I let off the brake, how soon can I roll to the throttle, and all that timing is what makes the speed and the difference in qualifying.
1947 for Zane Smith, who has a Truck Series win here. He picks up 3.5 tenths from practice.
I really love watching that ghost car. It shows you, you know, when you watch Josh Berry, just the car looks fluid all the way through the corner on both ends. You see these other guys, they'll roll in faster, they'll roll in a little slower, then they'll come off the brakes and roll faster through the center, and then it just looks jumbled up and it's not uniform. When a car's fast here, it looks much like Josh Berry's, where it's just steady Eddie all the way through the corner.
So for the moment, the Wood Brothers are on the pole at their home track. Jamie.
Well, Daniel Suarez coming off his second top 10 finish of the season last week at Darlington. How gratifying was that run, knowing you're still learning this brand new team?
Yeah, Jimmy, it's been a lot of fun. You know, I've been nothing but impressed with Espero Motorsports. These guys, they work so hard, and it's very rewarding. You know, when you get some of those results back, right? And the energy is great. We're running well, we're executing well, we have good communication. I mean, just like everything, you know, there is still room for improvement in several areas. We're not winning races yet, but right, a few more things that we're doing right. So I truly believe that we're inching our way there. Couldn't be more proud of this group, our sponsor for supporting us, Chevrolet, HMS Power under the hood. It's been very good, and looking forward to keep it rolling.
How about this package? Same as Darlington. Have you noticed much of a difference there in that practice session?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a little bit more power. I would say that the downforce here doesn't make that big of a difference, but still, definitely more power, much easier to hold your rear tires here. So it's going to be important to be smart for tomorrow.
All right, good luck. That's Daniel Suarez. You take a look at the hood of his car. It is Women's History Month. 631 women's names listed here, all part of racing. Mike?
Wow.
Very cool.
How about that? Nice tribute there. Halfway through, Josh Berry, fastest so far, 19:33. And here's Michael McDowell, who finished 12th in this race last year. His best career Martinsville finish. Now, he was 20th in practice. No, that's not right. Excuse me. He was 27th with a 1984. He is the 20th car to go out.
Yeah, and you see that car at the 5/8 mark right there. It's just he's waiting for the back to grab and not able to commit like Josh Berry and Joey Logano were, but
a little free there as well.
See him just touch the wall right there, getting into turn 1.
Now he's way up the racetrack. Gonna abort. First lap, fast lap. That's all we got, boys.
Yeah, and when he scrubbed the wall right there, it kind of threw the thing, it kind of throws the timing of it off.
Yeah, and your entrance, right? As soon as you get it straightened up, you get down to the other end, your timing's off, and then it shot way up the racetrack. We're done. Sorry, guys. Been there, done that.
Yeah, you see the thing's already loose right there as it kind of just bounces off the wall a little bit. And as a driver, you want to get it right next to the wall like that, and when it does that, it startles you, and then you try to yank it off the wall, you're like, oh.
So here's Ross Chastain. 6 top 10s in his last 9 short track races, 3 straight top 10s here. He practiced at 1976. This is a 45, 3/10 pickup.
Got on the curb. It's going to hurt his exit.
That ghost car really shows that you could just see the right front was just pointed longer than Josh Berry's, headed the wrong direction and not rotated like it needed to be to have the throttle down and digging.
I talk about that point, and listen to you say that, Kevin. It's hard to explain. Point is everything. And when you're watching this or watching SMT data or everything, you can see the point in their car, and if they're pointed back left and you're still going right, you're in big trouble.
Well, here's Christopher Bell, who practiced at a 1979. He won Martinsville in the fall of 2022.
Up on the curb just a little bit right there in turn 1. Gonna have to clean that up to have a chance on the second lap.
We were watching him in practice, if you remember, Kevin. He was a little loose getting in. Might have prompted that getting on the curb, make an adjustment this lap. There it is.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that adjustment is just what Denny Hamlin was talking about, right? Like it turns into the corner better and you hadn't carried enough speed, and so that timing is not as easy as us sitting up here talking about it. It's hard to get it right.
Much better. Third fastest, 1939. That is 0.4 of a second better than practice.
Well, that's what it's going to take. I mean, you're going to have to be in that 3.5, 4/10 range from what you practice to be able to grab this pole. You think that 33 sticks, Clint?
No. The 28 last fall, I think she'll have a 2 in front of it.
Chase Briscoe, 1988 in practice. He was 32nd, but he has 6 top 10s in the last 8 races here.
Oh, big trouble under braking right there, getting into turn 1 as Chase tried to drive it in there.
And it sounded to me like it was as soon as he downshifted, it was pretty aggressive with his downshift, and that car didn't like it. Sliding in 3 and 4 as well.
Picked up 0.3 on lap 1 compared to practice. Lap 2 a little slower.
Yeah, not a very good lap there from Chase. You want to be able to pick up a little bit on that second lap, as every car but one has run their fast lap on the second lap.
And pretty much exactly carbon copy of what we've seen out of the 19 this year. Just we have fast race cars, but we're not able to capitalize on stage points and whatever else because of just a little bit of subtle mistakes here and there on everybody's behalf.
Well, I said that wrong. I said that all the cars but one on their second lap have run the fastest. It's been a mixed bag, as far as what lap they're running on. But you got to have one of them that was clean, and the 19 car didn't really get it right on the first lap, and then the second lap got it all wrong in turn 1.
Getting it right here.
Shane Van Gisbergen, second, 1933.
Yes, sir.
That's huge. That is 0.6 faster than he practiced.
And slipped up on the second one. That'll be good enough, Shane. Good job. Bring that baby back in here.
Awesome lap. Josh Berry trying to win his first career pole in the Cup Series. Right now, a Ford Chevy front row as Eric Jones rolls out. Finished top 10 in 2 of the last 3 races. but the best he could muster was a 1988 in practice. If you think you're seeing John Hunter Nemechek's car, they have the same sponsor and reversed paint scheme colors.
That's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Tomorrow.
Nice pickup for Jones, 1948.
In this qualifying run, you're just not going to make the speed that you need because the straightaway is too short.
Well, you're slower to the throttle.
Yeah.
They're already rotating back on the gas. You roll faster, way faster through the center, but then they blow your doors off on the exit. Let's look at the track now. Cleaner yet, isn't it? I mean, look how much rubber over here than there is, you know, down here where they're running. A lot cleaner racetrack, and it's setting the table nicely for these last, 10 cars or so.
Yeah, and you heard Hamlin mention it earlier. I mean, he said at that time about 10 more cars, and Josh Berry fell into that window pretty closely.
Ryan Preece could be a threat. He's been a pole sitter here before, and he's finished top 10 in 3 of the last 4 Martinsville races. He's led more laps here than any other track in the Cup Series.
Oh.
Rev
what
limiter.
was that, Kevin?
Well, he got that thing stuck on the rev limiter right there.
Missed a shift, didn't he?
Sure sounded like it.
1952 on the first lap, just a 2/10 pickup. Well, 1945 moves him to 8th overall. And a 3/10 pickup from practice. Chase Elliott, 4 straight top 4 finishes here. He's a former Martinsville winner. He was 4th in practice with a 73. If he can pick up 4/10, he'll be on the front row.
Chase it's been too long. He's been on a heater here. Very, very consistent. A lot of speed. I think Hendrick needs a win, and I think Chase Elliott's going to deliver it this weekend.
Well, he definitely had the speed in race trim. If he can get this car qualified somewhere near that front 6 to 8, right now he's 4th quick with a 39.
That's not going to work. Got in a little too hard in a 1, slid up. He's going to wish he had that one back.
Picks up 3.5 from practice.
Sliding a little bit in 3 and 4 too, so miss.
Yeah, and I think that in these qualifying runs right here, you see Josh Berry had a little bit more arc getting into 3 compared to some of these guys, and helped him get rotated in the middle of the corner.
Can that hold on to a top 10, Kevin, in your mind?
That 39?
Yes, sir. We got about 8 cars left.
Yeah, I'd say that's going to be
10 to go, counting Austin Cindric, who finished 5th
close.
at Darlington, his best finish since Richmond last summer.
But the good news is we're like weather guys up here. We're just kind of guessing, speculating.
Cindric
if we're wrong, it's
an
okay.
87 in practice.
Yeah.
Last time the Wood brothers won a pole at Martinsville, 1973, the great David Pearson.
How about you? Penske.
Nobody in this race was even born then.
Larry told us, what was it? It was Penske, Gibbs, or Hendrick. The only ones.
Well, these guys
been winning these races, and this proves it yet once again.
These Penske cars, as you're watching, it's no fluke that they're all running almost virtually the same line. They have studied what works in order to make speed.
Great pickup for Austin Cindric, more than half a second faster than practice.
At Texas A&M University, we believe everything is possible.
Literally everything.
While some strive to be the best in the world, Texas A&M stands to be the best for the
500 is underway.
From Daytona to Homestead, catch all the exciting side-by-side passes for the lead of the NASCAR Cup Series.
Spectacular racing, round and round and round they go. Everybody 3 wide from front to back.
We are the voice of NASCAR.
Brad Keselowski up off of the corner.
It's the
Back here at Martinsville Speedway, before we put the next car on the racetrack, let's hear from the driver who's currently second.
Yeah, that is Shane Van Gisbergen, second fastest right now. Shane, you had a really good first lap, and it looks like a handful in the second lap. Just kind of describe your qualifying run.
Yeah, it was certainly on edge, but really awesome. I think with the amount of guys left, we're going to be top 10, so that's amazing for us. Felt pretty good in practice, and then, yeah, got a lap down, so I'm stoked.
What's one of the things you've learned? What are a couple unique things about this racetrack that you've learned? Because it's like nothing on the planet.
Yeah, it's really tough at both ends. Especially it's qualifying, a good feeling. You can hear the cars on the limiter into one, and I got it just on both ends. So meant I got a good run, and feels pretty cool to nail a lap here.
Pretty cool to nail a lap, that's for sure. Shane Van Gisbergen second right now, and we'll see if anyone can bump him back further back in the field, but I'd say pretty happy with that qualifying lap.
He is 5/1,000ths of a second behind Josh.
Here last week, 1978 in practice.
Oh, a little bit loose right there, late center of the corner off of turn 4. That, and you said it earlier about somebody else, that hurts both laps.
15th, 1950.
Yeah, on the first lap, if you're going to make a mistake, do it in 1 and 2, or maybe early entry into 3. If you make that mistake on the exit of 4, it's hurting both of them for sure. Car's loose.
8 drivers left, trying to deny Josh Berry his first career pole.
Boy, he's got to dodge some good ones, Mike.
Yep. Hamlin, Busher, Gibbs, Byron, Hocevar, Keselowski, Blaney, and Reddick. Denny, a 6-time Martinsville winner, including this race last year. Third fastest in practice with a 1973. If he gets the 4/10 we're looking for, that's front row material.
You see that little bit of extra arc that 21 car has getting into turn 3. That seemed to be making a difference in the center of the corner. Oh boy.
A lot better exit. Put 1 and 2 together a lot better at that time. Held that exit out, or entry out a little bit more. Here we go.
And the glass slipper broke. Denny Hamlin, 1927.
What's that got in front of it?
Oh, I wasn't disagreeing with you. I just hate to tell you you're right.
Let me tell you, you put that car in the front of this pack with the lap times I saw out of practice,
yeah,
look out.
It was really good in race trim, and like you say, Clint, if he winds up on the pole right here and has the best pit stall, the best starting spot.
Hamlin picked up 4.5 from practice.
For Denny Hamlin and his record, everybody knows what it is. Anywhere in the top 10 as far as I'm concerned, if he's my driver, I'm fine with it.
Chris Buescher for RFK got his 3rd top 10 of the season last week. Didn't practice all that well, 1986. But he is 0.3 faster than that on his first lap.
The other thing, going back to Denny's qualifying run, he had a much slower pace coming out of the pits. He scrubbed those tires all the way to turn 3 before he took off.
Point Kevin, you were walking me down the point conversation earlier, and that car was not pointed in the center of 3 and 4. Looks a little bit tight to me.
Now Buscher picks up 4.5 tenths, but he didn't practice that well. That leaves him 11th right now.
Car was really good on a long run, Chris Buscher. We're going to have to wait and see for tomorrow.
6 drivers to go. Ty Gibbs, second fastest in practice.
Ty Gibbs, same strategy as Denny Hamlin right there. They both wait until after halfway down the straightaway before they're taken off. So a little different than most every car we've seen.
I think it's pretty clear, like you said earlier, the second lap's a better lap. I just want to get in my rhythm and find my my groove here the first lap, put it to good use on the second lap.
See just a little bit of a bobble late center right there for the 54.
Third fastest.
A little bit loose again into turn 1.
That's what I didn't want to do. Because see the car rotate much faster that time in 1 and 2.
But between 3 and 4 last lap, and again here, his mid-corner RPM is about 200 below Denny's. Denny rolled more speed through the corner. And Gibbs is third.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Pretty fast hot rods. We'll be just fine, Ty Gibbs.
William Byron, a 3-time Martinsville winner for Hendrick Motorsports. He won from the pole here last fall. Byron was 9th in practice with a 1975.
Byron's driving style is so smooth. I think he's the smoothest driver on the track. He just makes it look effortless. Every time you watch him make a lap anywhere, just never hung out, never looks like he's overdriving a car, always finds the speed.
Well, he definitely got through turns 1 and 2 really good on that first lap. If he doesn't make any mistakes, he's going to have a possibility of being right there for this pole.
1933.
Whoa. Little high. Slid up the racetrack. Yep, we're going to abort.
I got loose.
You'll be fine. Pretty good lap, buddy.
Second fastest. Toyota, Chevy, Ford, 1, 2, 3 with 4 drivers to go.
Who's that guy? Selling beef jerky.
Sounds awesome. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Carson Hocevar got his second top 5 of the season last week. Whoa.
That's not what you want to see.
Was only 28th in practice with a 1984. Good pickup, 7th, 1936, almost half a second.
That's a good pickup for as big as that lockup. I mean, a good lap for as big as that lockup was into turn 1.
May get more here. Nope, 300ths slower.
I don't want to take anything away from him, but I want to point out the job that they did last week saved them right there. This track's cleaned up a lot, and if he would have been mired back in that first group, he'd have been in trouble.
Well, this next car that's rolling right here, Brad Keselowski, he's another guy that we think can contend if he qualifies up front. We saw how much better it made his day last week at Darlington, qualifying up front.
Much like his teammate, though, Kevin, long run speed with a 6 car. Need the short run speed. He alluded to that in his interview. Need to qualify good. Very important.
2-time Martinsville winner, but Keselowski was 30th in practice.
Had some trouble right there. Off of turn 4, not ideal.
As soon as he tried to go to the gas, you saw his wheel start to get herky-jerky, and that's a sheer sign of loose. Same thing in 1 and 2. Struggling with rear grip.
21st on lap 1.
See that loose, turning back to the right.
Lap 2 a bit slower. 2 cars to go. With Denny Hamlin fastest at a 1927, we've got Blaney and Reddick. Blaney was 13th in practice.
This is 100% a bullet that Denny Hamlin's got to dodge right here. Coming at you.
Yeah, and as we've seen with this 12 car, he can pretty much start anywhere. We aren't going to pin it on him like the last car. He started almost dead last here and came all the way to the front to finish second. And we've seen him do it pretty much every week with all the issues they've been having.
Just tickled the rev limiter there at the end of the straightaway.
You think it made him laugh?
Here we go, much better 1 and 2. Bumped it shifting that time.
Yeah, we've heard a few of them do that. I think that
was that a no-lift shift, Kevin?
I'd hate to speculate on whether it is or it isn't.
Laps almost identical. Hamlin 11th.
Well, he's feeling better about himself because this last guy, he said, needs to get better on short tracks, Kevin. That means he doesn't have a lot of confidence in his driver at this particular track, but this year might be a little different.
Tyler Reddick's best lap in practice was 0.5 of a second slower than Hamlin's. Hamlin was 3rd, Reddick was 21st. That's how close this field is.
When you're on the roll that he's on, and the momentum and everything else, your decisions come easier. They just do. It wouldn't surprise me a bit if this cat had put it on the pole. And again, bumped the chip on a shift.
Yeah, and he was late to turn off of the exit of turn 2 with that rotation, hit the chip, got to clean a lot up this lap to have a chance.
29th on lap 1. Faster than practice, but
a lot better through turns 1 and 2 right there.
Got a nice pickup there, 8th with a 1937.
Good turnaround for him.
Good job.
Well, your front row starters are the drivers who won the 2 races here last year. Denny Hamlin has his 49th career pole, tied for 10th on the all-time list, most among active drivers, and his 5th pole at Martinsville. It's his 13th career pole on a short track and 16th in the 7th Gen Cup car. Jamie?
Denny Hamlin talking to his crew chief, Chris Gale, got the job done again for the 5th time, Denny, on the pole. How much fun is it to have race cars like this at a home track for you? This team is just gelling.
It is. You know, hats off to the whole Bob's Discount Furniture team. The car was good today. You know, did a lot of really good things in practice, and I was hoping to, get somewhere in that top 8 for qualifying. But just, really concentrated on hitting my marks, doing what I needed to do. I thought the track had a 2.0 in it. Had to do it all over again. I thought I could, but it was good enough. And so they did a great job with the adjustments, and certainly that's going to be a great place to start.
We know you know how to get it done around here. Tomorrow for the race, though, higher horsepower package. How are you looking at that to change anything?
It will change some things. I certainly felt like in practice that you had to be very sensitive to your inputs, and there's going to be good handling cars, there's going to be bad. And, when you get to the back of the bad handling cars, are you good enough and versatile enough to get around them? That's really going to be the difference.
Well, he has all the track positions starting the race tomorrow. From the pole, that's Denny Hamlin.
Well, Jamie, I'm over here with William Byron, who's going to start on the outside of the front row. William, you and I were talking. Sounds like you're pretty happy with that. Maybe a little unexpected from what you had in practice.
Yeah, we just had to be patient today with this place. It just kind of, our balance wasn't perfect in practice, but feel like it's still in a good place for tomorrow. So just trying to kind of be patient with the conditions and cleaning all the rubber off from the other series and getting our rubber on. So, qualifying just a little bit different than last fall. Felt like I was, as soon as I left pit road, I didn't feel like I had a ton of grip. So happy with the lap. I just had to be kind of patient with it and make sure I, wrap the curb well. So feel like our race car is going to be really good tomorrow. We've learned a lot this year. It seems like Saturdays have been a struggle for us this year. So just trying to have solid Saturdays and kind of be, like I said, be kind of looking forward to Sunday and keep a similar balance. So hopefully we don't, over adjust tonight and just kind of talk it through and should have a good day tomorrow.
So, William, I know we're only race number 7. We've been to this big variety of racetracks. I actually heard you on Sirius Radio this week. So much has been said, Hendrick Motorsports and William Byron going this deep into the season without finding victory lane. Do you guys feel like you're gaining on this new body and all the other changes that's going along with the rules package this year?
Yeah, 100%. Just feel like our predictions and kind of where we start Saturdays has been not as consistent as we'd like. So, just feel like we're having to sort of relearn on Saturdays, and then Sunday when the track kind of gets normal by the mid-race, I feel pretty okay. So our Cincinnati Chevy, I think, is good. It's just kind of been more learning curve on the weekend than we're used to this year. So just trying to get that dialed in.
Well, Mike, I know they got 80 more horsepower, a new body, but looks like to me they maybe are picking up right where they left off the last time we were here in October.
Well, sounds like it. Thanks, Larry. All right, you got a Toyota and a Chevy on the front row, and third is a Ford. Let's show you how close their qualifying laps were.
Well, it's like we said earlier, it's not that close for first, but for second, we're splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's 3 1,000ths of a second to third.
Look at that.
All right, should be fun tomorrow. SVG with his best oval track start. Nice job there in 5th.
Well, you got Hocevar up there. Reddick did a nice job being able to put himself there in 8th. We got some cars in the back that we didn't expect. All those RCR cars. Kyle Busch 34th. You got Riley Chase Briscoe back here in 27th. That's probably the biggest surprise to me.
Yeah, I agree on Briscoe. Ty Gibbs, look at him. Another good start to a weekend, and I think he can hold true.
I think the most dejected is going to be Todd Gilliland, fastest forward in practice. He'll roll off 29th, coming off 2 top 10 finishes here.
Larson, that's a product starting 13th of being in that first round. That goes back to last weekend. Helped Hocevar with a top 10, hurt him with a 13th.
All right, tomorrow it's NASCAR Cup Series racing from Martinsville. Pre-race coverage 2 p.m. Eastern. The Cup race 3:30, and all that's on FS1 tomorrow. Thanks for watching NASCAR on Prime, where we'll have practice and qualifying coverage each week through the first half of the season. Happy Easter next weekend, then join us Saturday, April 11th, 4:30 Eastern Time from Bristol Motor Speedway